everybody, and welcome back to the King Fox channel. My name's Matt Conager, and I'm building a Kit Fox Model 7 STI. On the previous episode, I was sanding down some bushings, or some stop pins that go into this control block, which is right here. And anytime I'm putting a machined piece of steel into a small hole, that I've noticed that the tolerances are very small. So I was sanding on the outside of these. I put a bolt through there. Over here on the drill press, I got a bolt in there, and I put some nuts on there, turn it on, and hit it with some sandpaper, 220, 400, and then some 600, and then some Scotch-Brite. And I was doing that for quite a while, kind of like I was with the bushings on the elevator. So then I thought, geez, that seems like I'm taking off a lot of metal, but I'm not getting anywhere. So I checked my reamers, and lo and behold, the .375 reamer was perfect for the hole. So a few turns of the reamer and they slid right in. So learning point, you can do a lot of sanding, or you can attempt to use the reamer and use them what they're for. So with that being said, a little tip for me mostly, and anybody else who's watching. So I'm gonna get going. So welcome back. So not being a rivet expert, the book calls for a 1/8 by 1/8 rivet and a 1/8 by 3/16 rivet. So I kind of guessed that the 1/8 was the shank diameter, and you notice I had a little problem with the old rivet gun there. So it's probably going to go bye-bye and try to get a new one, but there's no adjustments, it seems, and the jaws don't want to clamp the 1/8 rivet very well. So I put the 1/8 inch up here, and then of course once I successfully got it riveted together, I read the directions again and I riveted it in backwards. So I had to drill out the rivet, and fortunately it's centered, so I could just switch the pin around and re-rivet it. Then with this forward pin, I've got to put a spacer in between there, slide this piece through it, drill it, and now put that rivet in. And when I put the 3/16 rivet in there, it touches the bottom of the tube on the other side. So more than likely the 3/16 rivet should have gone on this side and the 1/8 on this side, but the book doesn't specify that, so trial by fire, I guess, or trial and error. So I'm gonna get back to it and try to put this rivet in. Hopefully the gun will cooperate with me. Previous episode I was getting ready to put some rivets in this piece right here, and if you watch the time lapse, which was actually quite long, I was having a heck of a time getting a rivet in, and when I finally put my very first rivet in, it was actually backwards, so I had to drill it out. Fortunately the piece is centered in there, so flip it around, put the new rivet in, which again took me probably 10 minutes messing around with the rivet gun, and then I couldn't get the rivet gun to work for these two. So What do we do in the US when something doesn't work? We buy a new one. So I did. Out with the old, in with the new. So it's also red like my shirt and hat, so that's why it works better, I'm sure. So I got the rivets in, and I'm moving on to the control arm. this morning I had to do a little grinding on a piece here. What's it called? The right stick pivot hardware. Had to do a little grinding in there to get this piece to turn in, they say. And I did finally, with a little help from my punch friends. Got that in, and then I'm doing some reaming now, so stay tuned. So some things ream a little bit easier than others. Earlier I had to ream through the control stick pivot bushings, which are now they're down there. This is control stick, and this is the pivot bushing. So it's going to go in like this, right over here. And so as you can see through there, it's solid all the way through the tube. So I had to ream through the whole thing, and it was quite difficult. And turning that by hand was very difficult. So proper reaming technique, according to the book, after reading, is you try to back the reamer through and then pull it through as you turn it. But since this was solid and the tolerances are so tight, even just the shank of the reamer won't go through, even though it's round. So you end up having to, I was able to ream a little edge off this side and a little edge off this side and then back it through. But the other one, I couldn't get it in there either way, so I ended up putting it in the drill. I put a little EP extra, it's cutting fluid, and that seems to help the reamers go through there a little bit better. And then when the gunk comes out the other side, it just doesn't powder off everywhere. It's kind of held together by the fluid. Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. I hope you liked what you saw, inserting the sticks into the control column and getting all the little stuff, the tedious work done, the reaming, the sanding, hitting the Scotch-Brite work, etc. A lot of it does take a little bit of time. I did struggle with that old rivet gun in the beginning, and I apologize. I just did try to fix it as I was going along. I just needed to get in 2 more rivets, and it was giving me a heck of a time, so I did have to go out and unfortunately buy a new one. Someone who knows a little bit more about rivet guns could probably figure that out, but it looked to me like it had served its purpose over the last probably 20 years, so it was time for a new one. So again, thanks for watching. If you have already done so, hit the like button, the subscribe button, they'll be up here, and that little bell so you can get notifications for future videos when they come out. Thanks again, have a great day.